No one is listening, unfortunately. Hey everyone, welcome to the Big Dane podcast. I'm your host, Dana Trimborn, and this podcast is a random hodgepodge of topics that gets released on every Tuesday on, your preferred platform, of course. And I really enjoy sharing my personal stories and making those connections with you guys and just really being relatable, all in a fun and silly environment. Hey friends, how many of you think about times when you've received some of the best advice, whether it be from family, friends, coworkers, maybe random people? And what about the worst advice? Do you kind of reflect and think about those moments? Well, stick around. I will share both of these with you. And I do have an announcement that I do want to share, so even more reason to stick around for it all. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, I'm going to start with some of the best advice because I think I'd rather start with some good stuff rather than maybe not so good stuff, right? So one of the things actually came from my parents and I think really stemmed from my mom was to keep your keys separate as far as your car keys versus your house keys, because if someone decides to steal them, you are really out of luck. You can't even get into your house. Like, that's dumb. Why would you do that? Like, I see so many people, they put their house key attached on their car key. No. Why do you think that's smart? That's not a smart idea. Then they roll up to your house, like, because maybe you have some information in your car. Who knows? Like, if you have, like, your insurance stuff in your car, right? They're going to drive up right to your house. And they're going to get in. With my mom growing up in West Philly and, very different and living in the city back then, in that area too, and just a lot of crime and, she's seen some stuff. So she would always be kind of cautious and, worried. And even when they moved out to the suburbs, when my parents had my brother and I, because it's like, okay, you just had this crazy, intense time living in the city as a kid. You see and hear people getting stabbed across the street. Someone a couple doors down is breaking in. Oh, the house got robbed, all kinds of things. So now it's like, all right, move to the burbs, and I need to keep my family safe. I need to lock all my doors and just really be cautious and know your surroundings, right? So this is one of the things, like, she always told my brother and I that, keep your keys separate because you just don't know. You don't know what could happen. Plus, what if you even, like, locked your keys, your whole, like, set of keys, say if you had it was like car keys, house keys, in your car? Well, shit, now you can't even get back in the house. You know what I mean? So, not just a safety thing, but also just a more common sense kind of thing. So, yeah. So, do you dig it? Are you gonna change your keys now? And yeah, and I like it because then I know where both sets of keys are. And then say if I'm just going for a walk or or I'm not driving somewhere, I'm just going out to eat, because in Kanja here, we go walk everywhere. So why would I need to grab my car keys and my house keys, right? Like this whole set? Nah. And then you're going to take it off. Who wants to do that? Then you're going to forget to put it back on. Do you see what's happening? So just keep it separate. It's a safety thing. It's going to keep everything more in order, and you won't get locked out, right? And yeah, so I think lots of pros to this versus the cons. Because even so, with my car getting kind of like rammed into over vacation, I'm driving a rental car, and I had to drop off my car to get it fixed, and I thought, oh my God, like, wait, do I have my house keys? Or like, oh yeah, duh, I have my house keys because they're not attached to my car keys. Because when you drop off your car and say they're not open, the body shop isn't open, but you want to just leave your keys with them. So you put in the envelope and you push it through the little opening into their office, you know what I mean? So then Monday morning rolls around and then they can retrieve your keys, right? So I'm like, oh, I don't even have to think about that. So many things, and it's very helpful. So I'm wondering if you guys do this at all, or maybe you're actually walking over to your keys and getting them sorted. Yeah. Do it. You will love it. I promise you. And then say if you do lose it, right? Just put one of those tiles on. You know what I'm talking about? It's looks like a little fob, and then you just sync it to the app and you put your Bluetooth on, and then you can track and see like, oh yeah, there are my keys behind the sofa, right? So now you can do that for both. Put a tile on both. So then if you do lose them, boom, there you go, right? So that was one of the things. Another thing that was kind of like good advice was to always have your girlfriends. Always have your girlfriends, because, and when I mean that, I mean your friends, your best friends, the people that you really enjoy being with and spending time with. And because if you say, you're in the dating life, right, and you're trying to figure it out, so you're all single and whatnot, and maybe a guy like comes around, and then all of a sudden you start spending time with this guy or girl or whoever, right? And then you might lose sight of your best friends, right? So I don't think that is always the best, because this guy or girl could dump you the next week, and then your friends were like, well, okay, cool, so you want to hang out with us now? Like, come on. Cool, guys, cool. Do you see what I mean? Like, and I have experienced that with some friends, like, and I thought, great, like, so your boyfriend or girlfriend is away, so now you want to hang out? No. And no. So there has to be some kind of balance, and yeah, your best friends, they're not going anywhere, but significant other, if you're still trying to figure things out, you're in the first month here, whatever, you don't know if they're going to be around next month, then yeah. So think about that, because that puts a lot of strain on friendships. And even family too. Like if you're not spending that much time with your family, and whereas before you had met this person that you did all the time, like that's a little red flag for you. I mean, it's great, you want to try to get to know this person, but at the same time, you do want to have some of that balance there, right? Okay, what else? How about having enough money to support yourself? Yes. Do you know what I'm thinking of right now? That song, Independent. Do you know what that means? Yeah, independent. Yeah, right. Or Beyonce actually has one of the songs too, so it goes both ways. But truly, I think that is something that's pretty important as you grow up and kind of find your pathway. And you want to make sure that whatever happens, living situation, whether you're with roommates or you are with a significant other, say it doesn't work out, you want to make sure that if that doesn't work out, you have a backup plan and you have enough money for that backup plan. I mean, that would be the worst thing, to like not have enough money to support yourself, and then you're screwed. You're screwed. Now you're sleeping on people's couches, jumping around. I mean, they don't want you on your couch. They're just being nice. I mean, of course, if you have to go back to your parents, and if that's available to you, wonderful, wonderful. But that's not the case for everyone. Totally not the case for everyone. Some friends that I know don't live anywhere near their parents, out of state, right? How's that gonna work? I mean, that would really scare the shit out of me if my bank account was like pretty low and didn't have any savings. Like, shit, like what I've been doing my whole life. And yeah, speaking about savings too, that's like another thing. You gotta save. You gotta have some kind of savings happening, even if it's just putting like $5 like every couple weeks, as long as you're contributing to something. So then you're prepared for those emergency reasons, or whatever happens. But yeah, you never know what could happen. And honestly, even with COVID, with people losing jobs, and it just boggles my mind how many people don't really have a savings. I'm just thinking, what? Like, why? Like, why aren't you saving? Right? Like, that's literally the first question. And I think sometimes it's, well, I can't put enough money in, and I can only put, $2 in or whatever. But that doesn't matter. As long as you're putting something, you're set. You are doing a good job. It's better than putting nothing, right? So if you're putting a couple bucks in, hey, you got to start somewhere. So, and if you have to kind of relook at your spending and your bills and utilities, do what you got to do. See what else you can shift around to just help increase that savings. So then you're ready to go, right? Then you feel confident. You don't have to worry about anything. But I think that's one of the things that definitely stuck with me, was having enough money to support yourself, because you just don't know. So aside from finance stuff, how about when maybe you have like some conflicts? I don't know, you get into an argument with a friend, or maybe your parents, or who knows what. And I think sometimes, like, what I've learned, like, even if it's not your fault, like whatever the situation is, sometimes it's just best to just admit that you're wrong. Yeah, I know. It's tough. It is tough. Because maybe you were right in that moment. Whereas other times maybe you weren't or whatnot. But I think, one of my friends had told me that, and that stuck with me. And I'm like, you know what? That's good. I like that. Because then it shows character. It shows that you're not trying to be stubborn. You're being an adult. You are owning it, and I think that's some good stuff. So even if it's not your fault, just say, yo, I'm sorry, shouldn't have happened, I shouldn't have done that, didn't mean to do that, or whatever it was, right? You just own it, and then before you know it, conflict is gone. That situation and conversation, has been resolved. You're feeling good now. This other person is feeling good. Look at that. I mean, and again, I will say it's not easy. It's easier said than done. And sometimes you feel very frustrated, but when you think about the bigger picture and, who this person is and what they mean to you, then it really starts to kick in and make sense. So it's just good to just do it. Okay. How about, say, and God forbid, I'm just gonna say it. If you're in trouble and you're out, something is happening, and someone is maybe approaching you or, looks a little shady, or, you feel something isn't right. Okay, so, and again, this is something that my mom had learned from the news. It was a Chicago detective, and he had done consulting with sex crimes. And so what he had recommended to do was yell fire, because if you yell help, no one is listening, unfortunately. And that's terrible. And so the way to get someone's attention, whether it be a neighbor, whoever is in that close proximity, maybe you're in a parking garage or a parking lot, wherever, if you yell fire, that is going to gain attention, right? I mean, if you yell help, this could be a kid, they're just playing around, and you hear that all the time and you don't think anything of it, and that's it. When in reality, maybe this person actually is in trouble. So not so good. So kind of interesting, but there it is. Wondering if maybe you've heard this before, or maybe you've heard of something else, but I feel like as far back as I can remember, again, this is another little tip that my mom gave me. Thanks, Denise. And just kind of getting into this safety and, safety part. I remember a teacher had told our class, and this just kind of came up. This wasn't a self-defense class or anything like that. This was actually a Spanish class. But she said, always walk with your head up. And I thought, agreed. Totally agree. And that's a good point, because when I'm walking around and I see people with their head down, to me, that's an easy target. Or, they don't look very confident. Maybe they're sad or depressed, and this is all just by making assumptions by, of course, looking at someone that you don't even know. But that's the way it comes off. And so if someone creepy is coming around, you don't want them to say, oh yeah, look at that guy, look at that girl, got an easy pickings today. Like, you don't want to attract that to yourself. So always walk with your head up. You'd be surprised how many people walk with their head down and just doesn't look that great. Doesn't look that great and bring in extra attention that is not needed. Another thing here I have, whether maybe you have gotten bullied. Oh my God. Maybe you have gotten bullied in the past, or maybe a coworker isn't kind of speaking to you appropriately, or anyone for that matter. Speak up. Speak up and stick up for yourself, because if you're by yourself, you don't have like a friend or anyone else to speak up for you. So that is up to you. And you know what the situation is. If it's getting a little out of hand, you have to put your foot down. Put that foot down. Show this person who is boss. Okay, because they're probably not thinking like, oh, this person hasn't said anything, like, oh, I got them good, When in reality, you're firing right back like, yo, blah, 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 blah. And they're just like, oh, shit. And now you told them, because now they are afraid of what else you might say. And so now next time that they see you, they know to approach you better and not mess with you. They will know moving forward, don't mess with this person, because they will shut you down. So always speak up for yourself, stick up for yourself, because at the end of the day, if it's just you, no one else is going to say anything. Okay? So don't be afraid and do it. Another one here, and this is the last one I have for the best advice. Say if you're looking for a new job, right? And the job you may be in may be really, really terrible. And you want to quit, but financially you think, I can't quit. How am I going to quit? I got to pay for my mortgage, my rent, or whatever it is, my cats. I need to eat. Oh, wait, I have student loans. You have this running list of things, and you just can't do it. So I will say it's always easier to look for a job when you have a job. So just ramp it up. Ramp up that searching. I will say, on the other hand of this, I give so many kudos to those that can just quit and then they end up finding something else like right away, I feel like. And I thought, how does this happen? There's just so much risk involved with doing that and so many unknowns that I just couldn't do that. Because my luck, it would take me like so long to find something else. Yeah. So if you're thinking about looking, you're trying to get out, just ramp it up, because it's always going to be much easier financially to look for a job when you have a job. So you got to be thankful from that perspective, right? Because then I feel like you're just going to feel overwhelmed. At least I would feel overwhelmed if I just like quit and then thought, fuck. And then you wake up and then it's like 2 months and then you realize, oh my God, I still don't have like a job. Like, what am I going to do? Right? And now like your savings is just like slowly like going down. But hey, I mean, sometimes doesn't always work out. So that's why you got to be prepared and have that savings, right? Okay, so now for some of the worst advice. I actually didn't have a ton. I felt that I had more for some of the best advice, right? So, this is kind of like generally speaking, like say you want to talk something out like with a friend and you're telling them like what's going on, what happened, you're not really sure what to do, but like you kind of list ideas of like what you could do. But then the person on the other side that's listening to the conversation maybe isn't as engaged with you and just doesn't know how to respond or like just doesn't give good advice. I think that's the worst, when they just don't say anything really and they just kind of like agree with what you're saying, but really you're looking for advice, but at the end of it you don't have any advice. Like that is the worst. That's like the worst possible thing you could do, is just like, yeah, oh man, yeah, that sucks, oh yeah. I mean, come on people, you gotta think of something, make it up. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people have had that happen to them, and it could be, maybe it's someone that just doesn't know you that well, and you just want to kind of vent or whatever, and then they really not really helping anyway. So yeah. How about going on a high fiber diet? Yeah. And that stemmed from with my IBS, when I realized that I had that. And the first GI doctor I went to, because this happened up at school, like when I was, God, this is like 10 years ago already. So, yeah, and he's like, oh, just go on a high fiber diet. Oh, okay. Do you think, I'm already eating high fiber foods? So I'm not going to do that, because obviously I'm uncomfortable. So why would I do what you're saying? Literally the worst advice given to me ever for my stomach. And especially with just starting out and trying to understand IBS at the time, I was just like, okay, like right off the bat, I knew like that wasn't the answer. And I knew I'm going to have to find another GI doctor when I go home. And I did. So yeah. How about getting pressured into taking shots when it's like 1 a.m.? Yeah, just take it. Let's go take shots. Yeah. And then you take it, and then now you're really like fucked up. But you do it because you're with your friends and you get peer pressured. And then the next day you think, shouldn't have taken that last shot. It's just like, yeah, not good. So then moving forward, you start to learn to really say no. Or you give your shot to a stranger. There you go. Perfect. And then a last one that I have on here. I remember going into the grocery store and I was looking for Israeli couscous. Okay, so Israeli couscous is a little bit different than the other like couscous that you see in the store. It's like, I think that brand's like Far East or Near East or something, and it comes out more fluffy, right? But the Israeli couscous is almost more similar to like a pasta kind of texture, okay? And they're a little bit bigger. They're like really small, little like tiny like pasta balls is what I'm gonna call it. But so like if you can't find it, what I would do is get orzo instead. Okay. So anyway, I had found like just 2 things of this like prepackaged Israeli couscous, and they only had mushroom, and like with my stomach now, I realized I can't do like a lot of mushroom now. So then there was like one employee just bopping around the aisle. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask them, see if they know about this Israeli's couscous, okay? Maybe it's in another aisle too where I don't even know. So I asked this person, and then do you know what he tells me? Oh, I'm not sure. You might want to go check with customer service. Customer service? Why the fuck would they know? Don't you work here? Oh my God. So, and then they literally told me like nothing. Oh, well, whatever's out there on the shelves is what we have. Don't you hate that answer? Why is that the answer like all the time for, it's kind of just like the low-hanging fruit answer. Like they don't know either. And they're not going to go look in the back or anything or try to pull up something on their inventory and like find Israeli couscous. But yeah, so definitely worst advice from grocery store. Yeah. But that kind of wraps it up for you between the best advice, worst advice. I hope you enjoyed it, and I want to hear from you. But you can listen on the BigDanePodcast.com/podcast. And if you really enjoyed it, people, please kindly leave a review. Just tap that write a review and it will pull up some information for you, okay? And while you're on the website, you can look at some sneak peeks and extra content on my coffee page, which is that little coffee cup icon, all right? And you can stay up to date with me on Facebook and Instagram, so go ahead and follow me there. And this is the announcement that I wanted to share. So I am going to be putting together a survey because I am thinking about shifting the podcast into seasons. So I want to see, before I do anything, pull the trigger on this, I want to see what your thoughts are and any feedback that you have. All right? So hope you enjoyed it and have a great rest of the week, my friends. All right. Peace out.